heart just breaks for all my neighbors who have lost their homes.
Breaking news tonight, heartbreak across Southern California as raging wildfires have left at least 5 people dead and destroyed more than 1,000 homes.
Be prepared to evacuate at 8 o'clock, and about 5 minutes later it was get the hell out.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. A disaster is unfolding across Southern California tonight, and the challenges just keep coming for firefighters. Let's give you a live look tonight at one of those fires still burning out of control. For a second straight night, we are seeing flames in densely populated parts of LA County. And these are live pictures coming to us from the Eaton fire, which is in the Pasadena, Altadena area. We are also told tonight that a new wildfire has now broken out in the Hollywood Hills area. That one started just about an hour ago, but it is the destructive fires, the fire in the Pacific Palisades area. Tonight has become Los Angeles County's most destructive wildfire in history, and obviously strong winds fueling the flames here. Several different fires have broken out across LA and Ventura counties since yesterday. The Palisades and Eaton fires are the largest, burning through more than 26,000 acres combined, and more than 1,000 homes and businesses have been destroyed. We begin tonight's coverage with KTVU's Zach Sauce, who's in Altadena, where the Eaton fire continues burning out of control.
We are at the Eaton fire in Altadena, some 10,600 acres now burned, 0% containment. They have around, I'm told, more than 700 firefighters working on this, and they are certainly facing their challenges right now. Everywhere you look, really, another fire popping up. These are the type of spot fires they really can't do anything about. These fires get put out, they come back up with the wind. Just a few minutes ago, down there, you can probably make it out just in the distance. That is a Bank of America. It was fully engulfed with flames probably just about 15-20 minutes ago. The firefighters arriving, trying to do their best, but the roof still fully engulfed right now. People watching nearby, people who relied on this bank. Some of the community still here. One woman I spoke to telling me she has all of her important papers there, her adoption papers, her passports. She has savings in a lockbox, wondering if they'll still be there after this fire. And then I'm going to swing around just to give you a sense of just how close some of these challenges are. Just down there, what appears to be some sort of a residential building, possibly a multi-unit apartment complex. When we arrived, that building, it was fully engulfed. They put some water on it, were able to get it under control. The winds picked up again, and this is what you're seeing. It's back and roaring again. And this is the challenge they really continue to face here. Obviously, the winds, not what they saw last night, but they are still gusty enough that when they pick up those embers, they really can fly and, travel a mile or so, light something else on fire. So they have a long road ahead of them here. And unfortunately, we're told in this fire, 5 people have died so far.
And that was KTVU's Zach Sauce reporting tonight from the Altadena area. More than 100,000 evacuees are facing heartbreak and uncertainty tonight, many waiting for confirmation on whether their homes have been lost in these fires. Many of them left at the last minute after doing all they thought they could to protect their houses.
Once we saw the front neighbor's house catch on fire, that's when we decided to leave. And putting water on the house actually worked because only the garage burned down.
My heart just breaks for all my neighbors who have lost their homes, and I hope their insurance companies pull through and that they can move forward and rebuild.
And firefighters have been challenged by more than just the strong winds. Their work put a strain on the water system overnight. Some crews were seen showing up to hydrants without water flow. A lot of their aerial support was also grounded for hours because it was just not safe to fly in those windy conditions. Late today, first responders talked about the bravery of those ground crews throughout this tragedy.
Our first responders did all they could under those brutal conditions to put out the fire, putting their own lives at risk to save others. They battled through the night, with more and more joining the fight as the night wore on. Our police officers went door to door, ensuring as many residents as possible were evacuated to safety, including many seniors and those with mobility limitations. They saved many, many lives in the last 22 hours. Their efforts were heroic.
Finally, air operations have resumed, and that is a big deal, but it is up to the winds as to how long the air support can continue.
Now, the other fires burning across Southern California are much smaller than the Palisades and Eaton fires. Among them is the Hearst fire, which has burned more than 700 acres in Sylmar in the northern part of Los Angeles. More than 40,000 people have been ordered to evacuate there, with tens of thousands of homes still threatened by the flames. The other fires that are burning are less than 100 acres each. The Lydia fire started today about 30 miles east of the Hearst fire in Acton. And the Woodley fire is burning south of those fires in the Sepulveda Basin. Also, the Olivas fire is burning in Ventura County. President Biden met with first responders in Southern California today. He says the Pentagon is sending Navy helicopters with water buckets and other federal resources to help fight these fires.
I've directed DOD, Department of Defense, to rapidly provide additional firefighting personnel and capabilities. We're prepared to do anything and everything as long as it takes to contain these fires and help reconstruct and make sure that we get back to normal. It's going to be a hell of a long way.
And that is for sure. Joining us now for a second straight night is CAL FIRE Battalion Chief Brent Pasqua. Battalion Chief, once again, we appreciate you taking the time tonight. Obviously, all of these fires still burning out of control, but I guess if we can find a silver lining here, it's that the winds are beginning to back off. Is that shift in the weather conditions in Southern California helping crews at all to be able to gain some ground on these fires?
You know, I was just thinking about that. I'm being cautiously optimistic. Last night we had a kind of a calming of the winds right before it got really bad. So hopefully tonight that's not the same case. If they stay this low, maybe we'll see some containment actually come up tonight without those winds we had last night.
Yeah, that would certainly be really encouraging to see if they can gain some ground in that way. We talk about the winds letting up today, and really that allowed CAL FIRE and the other agencies to really step up the air attack and start doing a lot more of those drops of water and fire retardant. How much of a difference do you think that made today?
Yeah, it's a big difference having that well choreographed attack with the troops on the ground and our aviation assets in the air. Together, we make great progress. When it's just the ground troops and those 80-mile-an-hour winds, it's kind of a gamut of what you get. Embers are going everywhere. You're not sure where they're going to land and what's going to start on fire next.
Yeah, that's really the issue. We heard from one of the fire chiefs down in Southern California in Pasadena. He described the crews on the ground as being exhausted right now, and it says that they are just desperate for reinforcements to come in. How taxing is it for these firefighters who really up to this point have essentially just been sort of racing from one house fire to another, desperately trying to save homes in the middle of a ferocious windstorm?
Yeah, I just spoke to one of our strike teams that pulled in for a 15-minute dinner break. I spoke to them. They said they did lose a structure, but saved all the other ones on the street. And that's what keeps them going. They say they've been fighting this fire for over 24 hours now. And it might be the adrenaline, whatever it is. When they see that they've made a difference, they're ready to go back out there.
Yeah, physically exhausting, also mentally taxing as well for them, no doubt about that. Fire crews, we know, have been called in here from across the state of California and also from states all across the West Coast. What happens when those teams arrive in Southern California? Who's going to make the decisions about where they are needed most?
Well, we're going to see what crews need that break the most, because we have a work-rest cycle that ensures that we can actually do this job safely. So whoever needs to get some rest, get some downtime, we're going to get them off the fire line first, get them out of harm's way, revitalize them, and then have them come back out and join the firefight.
All right, in terms of the devastation, the early estimates are suggesting that at least 1,000 homes and other businesses have been destroyed by these fires. But, certainly if you're looking at the pictures, you're thinking to yourself that there may be many more homes and other properties that are going to be destroyed in these fires. Well, how long is it going to be until you're really able to get a true handle on the level of destruction? What does the process look like for trying to assess the damage moving forward?
Yeah, so we have damage inspection teams en route to the fire itself. Even if it stays windy like this, they can get in there and do their job. Take a look at exactly what's happened. Give us hard factual numbers, and we'll be able to report them as soon as they get them.
All right, CAL FIRE Battalion Chief Brent Pasqua giving us an update tonight. Great perspective. We appreciate your time once again. Stay safe.
Thank you.
All right, the strong winds fueling those fires in Southern California are causing a variety of different problems. The force of those winds knocked down trees across Southern California. And for more on the weather conditions, so important here as crews try to gain some ground on these fires, let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez. You're tracking the conditions that are really challenging those firefighters, and we are starting to see the winds let up, but we have to really kind of keep that in perspective.
Absolutely, Alex. They're dying down for now, but it's only temporary. They will be increasing this time tomorrow night. Now, let's set the stage for you. The high wind warning has allowed to expire. I would not be surprised if it turns into a high wind advisory, at least by tomorrow night. Meanwhile, the red flag warning has been extended until 6 p.m. Friday. It's been a recipe for disaster. Southern California has not had any measurable precipitation since May. We're talking about 243 days with only 16 1/100ths of an inch of precipitation. So you couple that up with winds, 100-mile-per-hour winds in throughout the Altadena area and the overnight hours into this morning. Those were wind gusts, not sustained. And then the relative humidity has been dipping between 8% and 15%. So here we go. Other notable numbers: 83-mile-per-hour winds were experienced at 2,300 feet all the way to Pacific Palisades early this morning. By lunchtime, they subsided to 60 mile per hour and 50 mile per hour. So the winds are going down, but nonetheless, these are the winds that were reported earlier today, up to 83 mile per hour winds in Burbank. We're talking about sea level. Some of these wind gusts up to 45 at LAX, Huntington Beach along the seashore at 51. Now, in the past few minutes, we've seen the Sunset Fire just pretty much explode, double in size, but we have so many different blazes. Look at all the new blazes, all associated with that same blaze over there in Altadena. And then meanwhile, we're still picking up some gusty winds. Ontario Airport, 22-mile-per-hour winds with the gusts at 32 mile per hour. And these winds are so ominous and the smoke plume so big, we're picking them up on our satellite imagery as a plume of smoke blows out towards the Pacific Ocean. Now, as far as the wind forecast is concerned, again, dying down overnight, so firefighters can catch a bit of a break and a big sigh of relief. But then these winds do increase with the daytime heating, especially in the afternoon hours and towards the evening. We will continue to monitor this dire situation in Southern California, as well as your entire West Coast wrap forecast coming up in just a couple of minutes, Alex.
All right, we'll check back with you in just a bit. Roberta, thank you. Coming up here on West Coast Wrap tonight, a coalition of West Coast states is answering the calls for help from Southern California. Coming up, see how they are preparing to join the firefight. Also, the future of tech on display in Las Vegas this week. We'll show you some of the gadgets that inventors hope you will not be able to live without as we check in with the organizers of this year's CES. Turning back now to the breaking news we're following here in the West that is drawing the nation's attention tonight. Several major wildfires continue to burn out of control across Southern California. These are live pictures coming to us from that region tonight. And this appears to be that brand new fire that started just a short time ago in the Hollywood Hills. That's obviously causing a great deal of concern with evacuation orders in place. Just the latest in a series of wildfires that have broken out during a ferocious windstorm that has hit that region. At least 5 people have died in LA County since those fires started yesterday. Again, fueled by the strong winds, more than 100,000 people have been evacuated across Southern California. And tonight, firefighters from across the West are being called in to help control those fires. Crews from the San Francisco Bay Area, Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, New Mexico, and Washington already have arrived in Southern California, or they are on their way right now. Tonight, Fox 13's Frankie Thompson has more on the crews in Washington getting ready to deploy.
Crews from 9 different agencies in our area are heading down to LA County to help fight the wildland fires. That's including 4 people from here in Everett with South County Fire and Rescue. All of the agencies are gathering right here before traveling to California. As soon as California authorities put out the call for help to battle the deadly wildland fires in the LA area, firefighters in Washington wasted no time answering.
You don't really have time to take a look at all that initially. It's, hey, we got the call, it's time to go. Get everything on the rig and get out the door.
Captain Derek Kuhn of the Tulalip Bay Fire Department says his office got the call early Wednesday morning. He and 3 others from his team were some of the first to volunteer.
It takes obviously a pretty big incident for units to be rolling out of Washington. We did send one earlier this summer, but here we are doing it again.
9 fire agencies from Washington are now representing as one, the Northwest Task Force. They'll travel for 2 days to California with their engines and ladder trucks. Once they get there, Kuhn says they'll have a better understanding of their tasks.
Every fire's different, every assignment's different, and by the time we get there, things can always change. My captain, he's going to tell me what to do, and it just continues to go up the chain of command. We don't even know exactly where we're going yet.
For 18 days total, this task force will be on the front lines fighting this raging wildland fire, working to do all they can to save lives.
Love to do this. That's why we all volunteered. That's what we're here for. This just in the last few days has gone pretty crazy, so we're honored to get the call to go help.
All of the firefighters on this task force are wildland certified and have their red cards. Washington State Department of Natural Resources tells us it's also sending 35 firefighters and 10 engines to California. Reporting in Everett, Frankie Thompson, Fox 13 News.
And crews from Clark County, Nevada also are heading to the fire zone tonight. Officials in the Las Vegas area say they're working on plans to send strike teams to Southern California. They will include between 110 and 125 firefighters, along with 25 engines from state and regional fire departments. And Oregon State's fire marshal is sending 12 strike teams to those fires in Southern California, mobilizing 240 firefighters and 60 engines. The length of their assignment will be determined by the weather and potentially could last about 2 weeks or so. Fighting brush fires and building fires is what these crews do best, and they'll be facing some unfamiliar fuels and conditions they don't often see in Oregon. Crew members say they know lending a hand now will lead to more help in the future in their own communities.
We've leaned into California to come to Oregon many times to come help us on our fires. We've been able to help them in the past, and we're standing ready to jump in these rigs and head down there today and go return the favor yet again.
The state fire marshal says more strike teams from Oregon could be requested to help out. And 2 teams from the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management have already been deployed to fight the Eaton fire. Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego says firefighters will arrive in LA in the next few days. And to get the latest updates on those wildfires burning across the West, head over to our website, westcoastwrap.com. Our online coverage there includes links to some extended clips of videos from the fire zone. Coming up tonight, we will check back in with meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez to get an update on the weather conditions near those fires. And she'll talk about when the winds potentially could die down. Plus, CES is underway this week in Las Vegas, giving you a taste of what to expect in your future. We'll take you to the show, showcasing all things tech. This week, the latest in technology is on display at CES in Las Vegas. More than 4,000 companies are taking part in the annual event, which began nearly 60 years ago. Earlier, I talked with Patrick Panett from the Consumer Technology Association. That's the group that organizes CES. And he told me that companies this year are focused on AI.
We're seeing it in products across the board, whether that's in health, on your TV, the way you have content and entertainment. In your car, it's going to make our roads safer and it's going to make us healthier. And it's integrated into all kinds of wonderful products as well.
What is that and how does it incorporate artificial intelligence?
Now, what this is the Color Sonic from L'Oreal. It uses compostable materials inside, and it's basically a hairbrush that goes through and dyes your hair or your roots as you're brushing it ultrasonically.
Do you feel like this is sort of the year where we reach a turning point with AI, where people sort of start to understand a little bit more about how this could help them in their own lives?
That's exactly right. So we're going through the AI life cycle right now. So we're kind of getting to AI agents. So it was something, AI has been around for more than a decade. There's the reason that Uber picks you up and knows which way to go. It's been using AI. It knows your preferences, where I want to go. Netflix does the same thing. What do I like? What do I want to watch? Now we're going to see the next iteration. It's going to say, oh, Alex, you didn't sleep very well last night. Maybe you should have a few more minutes in bed. Maybe you should have less coffee, or maybe you should go for a run to feel better. Oh, your glucose is low because you're wearing an over-the-counter solution. Oh, and by the way, you just did a hearing test, and we're going to tune your AirPods or your hearing products or your earbuds to help you hear better for the day. And yet it's all going to be further integrated into our lives. And I think that's really what we're seeing this year.
At CES this year, we're also seeing a lot of companies really focused on trying to tackle some of the most pressing problems that the world is facing right now. Things like access to clean air, access to clean water, access to healthcare services. What kind of technology is being unveiled in that space?
Obviously, with satellite communications, internet is spreading around the world. That's helping people connect. It's helping people learn. We're seeing more of that every day. The other thing we're seeing is around sustainability. You mentioned water. That's a critical one. And there are two sides of water, right? There is the water that we deal with that comes onto land. So it's how do we make things more resilient? How do we accommodate rising seas and climate change? How do we make everything more sustainable? There's also some brilliant technology here that I have seen that basically makes water out of air. So in theory, you're going to have products over time that are going to extract water in places that need it so you can drink, so you can have potable water. That's the future you're seeing here at CES.
All right, a lot going on at CES in Las Vegas. Before we go tonight, though, we want to check back in with KTVU meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez. And Roberta, you are tracking the challenging weather conditions for those firefighters in Southern California, along with the rest of the forecast across the West.
Good news, Alex. The high wind warning has allowed to expire in the Los Angeles area, but don't be surprised if a high wind warning goes into effect. The red flag warning remains all the way through Friday now, so it has been extended due to the anticipated strong winds, not as vigorous as this morning. And then the dry conditions with the relative humidity down to 8%. See those clouds to the north of us? There you have them in Seattle, where the average high this time of the year is 48 today. 50 degrees. In fact, it was a pretty seasonal day across the western states. 68 in Phoenix when typically average high 67 degrees. And in San Francisco, average high 65, bam, 66 degrees there. And in Los Angeles, you can even see the plume of smoke in the foreground there because Pacific Palisades is just right down the block at 71 degrees. So the forecast, smoke and haze and air quality alert in Los Angeles, otherwise seasonal conditions through Saturday. Alex?
All right, Roberta, thank you. That does it for West Coast Wrap. Have a great night.